and welcome to Politics, a MuggleNet podcast about politics in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. I'm Adri, one of your hosts and a recovering English major.
I'm Helene, your host, producer, and person who needs to accept that stressed is my default setting.
And hey y'all, I'm Kay Alex, trivia guru, Libra archetype, and pumpkin alternative advocate.
Okay, I have follow-up questions. What is a Libra archetype?
I have just really been leaning into Libra season so far. Both good and bad. Debating everything, indecisive about what I want to eat today. So, trying to understand all perspectives while diplomatically, or in my case, not so diplomatically, trying to make my point. And trying to achieve that alien balance, but I'm way off kilter, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Just feeling all the Libra disarrayness right now.
Well, I believe Mercury is in retrograde. So, yes, we're all feeling a little bit wobbly at this moment.
I would that does not surprise me. I've been having a Mercury in retrograde week. So I actually even asked myself earlier this week, I was like, I wonder if Mercury's in retrograde. I wonder if Mercury is in retrograde because that's just that kind of week. And then I was too busy to even look it up.
Well, there's a website called ismercuryinretrograde.com or something like that, and it'll tell you yes or no. Just a hot tip.
Yeah, no, I'm just like that's where I'm at right now. Like my week has gone that way so much, and I've been too busy to even look up to find out if I was right.
I missed my 2 meetings that I had today. Like, I don't know. I've been running behind, like my bosses like called me twice and they're like, "Hey, we're waiting for you in the meeting that you set for today." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck." Like, I don't even know what calendar I was looking at because in my mind I had no meetings. And then suddenly these 2 meetings, everyone's like waiting for me. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is not my day."
That sounds about right. I invited my aunt to a volleyball game and told her that it was today when the game was yesterday. And then also rearranged like my entire week to be at this tryout presentation for the Harry Potter Alliance for Fall into Democracy, and completely missed that too. Like, got home, took a shower, felt productive about my day, and was like, shit, you missed that.
It's a vibe that's going around. One could argue that Mercury has been in retrograde ever since 2016.
That's possible.
In an emotional sense.
Like I can't exactly remember what Mercury in retrograde actually means, but I think it does mean like dropping things and spilling things and having like technical issues and things like that are like it's definitely more
and like miscommunications and like crossed wires type thing.
I just remember I think it was on Tuesday I started the day by spilling coffee all over my brand new shirt. And then later at lunch, I literally spilled my salad fully dressed all over my desk and my keyboard later that same day. And that's when I was like, okay, what is going on? Is Mercury in retrograde? Because this is ridiculous. It was Caesar dressing and I smelled like that and coffee mixed together. It was not great.
I'm going to try something.
What?
Siri, is Mercury in retrograde? Like, Siri won't tell you if Mercury is in retrograde. Apple, fix this.
Wait. Oh, are you gonna Who are you going to ask? Are you going to ask Alexa? Because I was just about to ask Alexa.
I was going to... Hold on. Hey, Siri, is Mercury in retrograde?
Silence. Crickets.
I think she's obviously in retrograde because Siri decided to tell me that she was in retrograde.
I'm going to ask Alexa. Warning for all the listeners who are listening to this on speakers and have Alexas, I'm going to set them off here in just a second. But Alexa, is Mercury in retrograde?
Mercury is retrograde. Mercury turns direct on November 3rd, 2020.
Wait, did it said that?
Damn right.
Wait, did it say
Damn
that Mercury?
Right. It turns itself around on election day.
I was literally just about to say, did it just say that it leaves retrograde on election day?
On election day.
Oh my God, Mercury knows that all this shit is going to stop once Biden gets elected. Mercury knows.
Mercury better is what I'm saying.
That's hilarious. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that's why. Favors besides Earth, because
this is why Amazon is like killing it and Apple is lagging behind. Apple, get your shit together.
No, Alexa just decided to show out because today is Prime Day. That's it.
She's celebrating for sure. This entire Mercury conversation can like be our patron only content.
Agree to disagree.
It's just so off topic at this point, but I love it.
It's just random, but the randomness really vibes with this chapter that we're discussing today, because guess what? Air horn sound. We are discussing chapter 10, Luna Lovegood, of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Yeah, she is the only student who gets her name as a chapter title.
Sweet.
She's pretty newsworthy. And speaking of newsworthy, it's time for our Potterwise segment where we discuss some of the latest news in the United States.
Potter Watch, what the ministry doesn't want you to know. First off, let's talk about Amy Coney Barrett again.
No,
Not only did an event, I guess, honoring her at the White House become a super spreader event for COVID.
I think that was just the announcement of her nomination.
She was there. It's an event honoring her. Whatever. Only Republicans were there.
Yeah, I think it was an announcement event. That's what I think it was. But yeah.
Yeah, at the garden or whatever.
The Rose Garden, yeah.
So there are hearings that are happening right now via in-person and Zoom to confirm her. Meanwhile, the vote is what? 3 weeks away?
Yeah, well, millions of votes and ballots have already been casted. And I was just having this conversation with my family because we have our video family calls right before this. And my dad was talking about how people who are unsure of how to vote Senate wise based on there are people who might be holding off voting for a Republican senator to see how they vote, to whether or not they vote to confirm Amy Coney Barrett or not. And at this point, people who have already gone and voted for their senators are getting that choice taken away from them to have their say in whether or not they want Amy Coney Barrett nominated or confirmed, because they've already voted, and you're giving people you can't change your vote after you've already done it. So it just doesn't make any sense to have this confirmation be happening now when millions and millions of votes have already been cast and people don't have a chance to like voice their opinion on this in any way.
Mm-hmm.
It is effectively silencing the United States of America and citizens.
It's stealing a Supreme Court seat because, I mean, the consensus among most Americans is that they believe that the new president should be the one, you know, picking the next Supreme Court nominee. But, you know, whether that's Joe Biden, fingers crossed, I wish upon a star that it needs to be who it is, or, you know, the person we currently have. Like, why can't people just, you know, why can't Mitch McConnell just wait?
Because he's a
Because
self-serving bastard is what
yeah,
he is.
he's a
He was
coward and self-serving bastard. Correct.
he was on Hannity earlier this week, like literally bragging about what he did to Obama with Merrick Garland's nomination last time this happened. And
What
he's
a
turning around and
spineless.
he's like, "Oh, I blocked that. Ha ha ha." Like there was, 11 months until the new inauguration of the next president of the United States. But even with that amount of time, I still said it was too early or it was too late in the election year to do it. And now we're in the middle of election, we can't do it. But now we're literally like 3 weeks from election day and they are trying to confirm someone. And then there's the question of, should Joe Biden pack the court if he wins to even it out? But then, like, if he does, like, aren't the Republicans going to take advantage of that when it's their turn?
I mean, but they're doing it anyway now. So, like, they're already packing the court now. This is what I
know.
mean. They're not packing the court in the sense that people believe Joe Biden could, in the sense of like adding justices or subtracting justices.
Yeah.
But they are packing, like, in essence, they are packing the court.
Yeah, I'm just worried that if we take advantage of it to work in our favor this time, that, I mean, it's inevitable they're going to take advantage of it to work in their favor next time, and it's just going to screw us over again. So,
well, there's historical precedent for it. Like at the beginning of the Republic, as it were, there were, the presidents who would like add people to the Supreme Court, and then there were presidents who took them away and then added. So it's not like it hasn't happened before. It's just that it hasn't happened in our recent history. I'm not too worried about that. I would rather him pack the court to compensate for the injustices made by this administration. Because if not, what is the alternative? We're going to have like the most conservative Supreme Court that is going to strip Americans of their,
of their basic rights. Yeah, it's gonna
basic of rights.
Yeah, it's going to affect like generations of Americans moving forward and their rights and how they are allowed to live their lives if they do this. So I know. I think in the end, it's probably best that he does if he wins. I'm just worried about because I'm just so scared that the other side is going to take advantage of it.
I also trust that he's a thoughtful person, unlike other people. So
for sure,
the decision that he makes, he will make after a lot of deliberate thought, and we'll try to kind of game it out so that it's fair, even those who disagree with him.
The piece of news that I'm bringing today, I mean, like, being from Michigan and like having my coworkers text me in real time, like, holy shit, somebody tried to kidnap the governor. To the fake ballot boxes popping up in California, like hearing about the lines in Virginia, hearing about they said today in North Carolina, 1 in 4 African Americans had their mail-in ballot returned to them, rejected. Like, these things are not accidents. These things are not glitches in the matrix. They are calculated attacks against people actually trying to take a stand and vote for whatever policy or whatever person they feel is going to get us out of this honestly just outlandish hellscape. Like, I, as exhausted as I am about getting all these email blasts and texts and radio and television ads about voting across the country, we're really starting to see like the election is heating up on all fronts, and you just can't, like, there's just too many instances in the news, out of the news, that show like this is one for the record books. Like, this is not your average, this ain't Parks and Rec. It's time to vote.
Yeah, and one of the things that I know we spoke about earlier is don't let people trick you into believing that your vote doesn't matter, because that's how they win. If they trick you into believing your vote doesn't matter and you decide not to go vote, that's them suppressing your vote by using that against you. There's so many hurdles and obstacles already set up so that people don't vote.
Yeah, and I wanted to do I went to do a bit of digging as to why certain states were being targeted.
Mm-hmm.
One example that really caught my eye was California.
Oh
California,
yeah, the fake ballot boxes.
yes. Turns out that Proposition 16 is up on the ballot in California, which would approve affirmative action in the workplace. Uh, and considering that this is the same state that did the whole battleground about affirmative action with colleges and universities, I remember because University of California, Los Angeles, or UCLA to most folks, their Black student body did a whole social media campaign about being a Black Bruin and like stereotypes that they hear about getting into UCLA. Like, no, I'm not here on athletic scholarship, or no, I'm not here because of affirmative action, or yes, I am on the dean's list, stuff like that. So, kind of getting into, and to see people talk about affirmative action in the opposite by saying, oh, it's discriminatory against whites. And I'm just like, how, Becky? How? Like, make it make sense.
Another state they're targeting is Texas. Obviously, we spoke about that. And I believe Georgia might be another state they're targeting because it might turn blue.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, Michigan to me has always been a battleground state, but they thought that the attempted plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer was going to actually silence people and make them vote for Trump. And it's actually seeming to do the opposite effect. Like, even people that were hardcore, like, trying to validate Trump's hellscape in their minds are like, well, especially in the Middle Eastern community, they're like, if the militia group that tried to kidnap Governor Whitmer had been anything besides white, they would have been deemed terrorists.
Oh, for sure. It's the same, it's kind of like the Kyle Rittenhouse is not a terrorist, but if he was anything other than white.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
The protection, whiteness is the magic that turns bad actors into anything but terrorists.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
they're just misunderstood people. Didn't you know, Kay Alex?
I'm just hoping that the 53 and 62% get their act together.
Listen,
Please, fingers crossed.
white people get your people. That's all I have to say.
Period.
Should we move on to the next segment?
Actually, if they're still voting for Trump, just convince them their vote doesn't matter. Because it's rigged anyway. Like, if you're sure you can't turn them into like Biden voters, just tell them their vote doesn't matter.
Or tell them where they can find their nearest ballot box in California.
Or, tell them the election day is November 5th.
Didn't work last time.
Man, can you imagine if voting day was on Guy Fawkes Day?
That'd be amazing.
The absolute purge. Nope, can't trust it.
Sorry for taking too long of this. We can move on, Helene. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, we've been recording for 35 minutes and we haven't talked about the chapter at all.
It's election season, Helene. I'm not sure if you knew this.
I know this, but in an effort,
real political.
Yes, but in an effort to not be recording this until 11 p.m. and getting to bed at a decent time, I'd like to move on.
Agreed. We are the Hogwarts students that are about to miss the train, and Helene is Mrs. Weasley. Telling us to get our
I don't love being compared to Mrs. Weasley, but in this case I think I can accept it. In general though.
And I'm just like, and I'm serious, like as a dog going like, I'm just, breaking the rules. And Helene's like, fine, whatever, it's on you.
I guess I'm Harry in this moment. Like, I realize that this is a bad idea, but I'm still having fun.
And you're like, I'll just go with it, whatever.
Right. I'm just here. No worries.
Yeah, and you guys will all be, thinking about how I was right when Malfoy comes in the compartment and uses the term dogging, and you start freaking out that he noticed that Sirius was there. Yeah. You're going to be like, oh, why didn't we listen to Helene?
I'm sorry, Mom.
We'll do better next time.
All right. Now it's time for Hogwarts Debate Club, because Helene very much pointed out that we are lagging in our political discussion. Helene,
Thanks.
it is your turn today, right? First?
Yeah, thanks for blaming that on me. All right.
Producer Helene takes her job very seriously and is stewarding us into the show so this does not become a 3-hour show about voter suppression.
Thank you. All right. I mean, let's record a separate episode on voter suppression for Patreon supporters and leave people wanting more.
That would be fantastic. Okay, so let's see if my 30-second timer works this time.
Okay.
But, Helene, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
The politics of fake news, also known as misinformation. All of the kids on the train pointing and talking about Harry as a result of fake news that the Daily Prophet has been spreading about him all summer. The Quibbler is basically a tabloid that reports on conspiracy theories as fact under the facade of real journalism. Almost everybody already assumes to know the type of person that Luna is by her reputation and the rumors that are spread about her, and make early judgments towards her as a result. And not 100% relevant to the topic, but Harry feels gaslighted when he tries to talk to Ron about the Thestrals, and Ron legitimately can't see them.
Well,
what was that sound at the end after the recording?
I apologize. Cleo has snuck into the studio,
Oh, okay.
also known as my bed, and has started playing with a squeaky toy. I am taking it away.
I was like, well, there's like all these weird, like clapping, squeaky noises in the background.
You mean like this?
Yeah, like that.
I have the squeaky toy now. Cleo, you can't have it. Well, thank you, Helene, for your politics of fake news. Okay, Alex, are you ready?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, and go.
The politics of social engagement and interaction. How much do we really care about what other people think about us? Harry dives deep into his image and reputation as he realizes that his social status is changing drastically. And while many things appear to be the same, there are too many differences to ignore. How do we navigate society's views on ourselves, our own thoughts as we rifle through news and media, as well as try to make judgments about ourselves and others without being pompous and or self-righteous?
Will you shut up, man?
Oh, and I still can't get to 30 seconds. What gives?
I mean, I don't know how I always end up going over. I make like 3 or 4 points, and I'm like, oh, I don't even know if this is gonna fill it. And then I can never get everything I want out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This feels like a very like unbalanced situation.
I will say that I threw in my last point, just in case I didn't fill the time, and it did help. So,
Oh, okay, good. Cleo, no. Now she wants to be under the table. Okay. Guys, this is a very dog heavy episode, and not just because it's serious. Okay, I'm going to start now. Fred and George aren't. Oh, sorry. Politics of observation. Fred and George aren't very observant since they enchanted their trunks, which could have hurt Ginny. Malfoy makes a comment that leads us to believe he has observed Sirius Black in the form of a dog. Everyone is observing Harry. Luna displays her observant self by pinpointing who just Harry is and who Ron went to the Yule Ball with. And Harry, for the first time, observes the Thestrals and wonders where Hagrid is.
Will you shut up, man?
I'm interested to know how observation is political.
Well, glad you asked, Helene. Glad you asked. If observation weren't political, people wouldn't have figured out how to suppress the vote. By noticing the patterns of human behavior, people can manipulate people's actions and in turn suppress the vote.
Okay. So how is Harry observing the Thestrals for the first time political?
He doesn't know what he is seeing, and he's starting to question his own sanity. Much like I questioned my sanity when I looked at the 2016 polls, and we still didn't win.
Okay. All right, you're coming up with legit responses. I can take that.
Oh, I'm full of bullshit. Like, I can do this all day.
Man. All right. Well, is that it for the course?
On a less light note, though, like I think about like an observation as a political act. I think about how we must keep our elected officials accountable by not just voting them in or out, right, every so often, but also noticing the actions that they take and holding their feet to the fire in the statements they have made in the past and demanding consistency. So, like, if I were Mitch McConnell's constituent, for example, I'd be very embarrassed first because I would never vote for him.
Yep.
But I would hope, right? Like one would hope that people would be keeping him accountable because he said a lot of things about like not confirming a Supreme Court justice or nominating a Supreme Court justice at a certain threshold of the election. And here we are, 3 weeks out, people have already voted, and he's going back on his word just because he's on the
because it benefits him.
power. Yeah. So there's no integrity.
Yeah. And I can observe how full of bullshit he is. So there's that.
I mean, it takes a bullshitter to another bullshitter, right? Like, so I obviously know that.
Excuse me. Oh, I thought I was like, hello, rude.
I was
you calling me a bullshitter right now?
I was like,
was that
bad on myself?
You were trying to self-deprecate, but it definitely came out as an insult towards me.
I'm sorry, Helene. I didn't mean it that way. I meant it as an insult towards me.
Okay. I'm not full of bullshit then. Good. All right.
Because remember, I said, like, it was a callback joke. Like I said earlier, I'm full of bullshit.
True.
I can do this all day.
All these layers to the conversation.
I'm very tired.
Should we get into the chapter discussion before we all just mutually combust?
Okay, Alex has been very silent.
Yeah.
And she continues to be. Okay, there she is.
Sorry.
All right, so now that we have worked that out, Helene and K. Alex, and kind of show our delusional, like, tired sides to the world, let's deep dive into the chapter and talk about what happens there and why does it happen?
Yeah, my first note was I noted that we see a lot about reputations and snap judgments in this chapter. I had a hard time picking the politic because I was like, oh, the politics of snap judgments or the politics of, and like, there's so many different things here that reputation is a huge, huge part of this chapter, not only Harry's reputation and how it's changing and the way people are seeing him are being influenced by the Daily Prophet and Fudge, but then also Luna's reputation and how it influences how people are treating her and what people come into that compartment with all these preconceived notions about who she is and how she's going to act and whether or not they want to associate themselves with her because of what other people are saying. And I just I think it's a really interesting commentary on those specific topics.
So, like, what you're talking about in reputation, you're also kind of alluding to perception, in my opinion, Helene. Kind of like how people perceive the person to be. So students are whispering about Harry because of all these articles in the Daily Prophet and what happened in the last book when, he was the champion, but also brought back Cedric's dead body, which is very scandalous. And people seem to think that they know who he is based on what they read about him, which are lies.
Yes, and then honestly, the same or similar can be said about Luna. It might not. Yeah. It might not be news like coming from quote unquote respectable, trusted sources that are reporting these things on her, but everyone kind of has an idea of who she is because of the reputation and rumors that go around about her at school, and then that reflects how people treat her. So it's. Harry and Luna have a lot in common in this chapter, and I really like to see how Harry doesn't really judge her up front. He does he like notices these things about her. He's like, oh, she's kind of, her eyes look like she's permanently surprised, and she's wearing like butterbeer bottle caps on her necklace, and she's holding her magazine upside down, like, oh, that's kind of odd. But like, he doesn't make any negative judgments about her up front, really, and just kind of accepts who she is and is kind of interested in learning more about her, which I really like to see.
One thing that really surprised me, and I think because one, conflation with film and book, and two, maybe even just like the whole fandom world, that Ginny is the first person to say Looney Lovegood.
She is.
And
Mhm.
I honestly, I mean, I'm happy to be rereading the books and underneath this lens, but I was like, wow, like,
She's also the only one that's willing to like sit with her, though.
yeah, but how, I feel like that's more about like her just kind of like Gryffindor bravery kind of thing, and like the just Ginny Weasley sociability thing, than rather than like, oh, I am genuinely nice to this person and I'm fascinated by them. Because why
I want to find exactly what she says, because I
it's
was
like,
thinking this too. 1 second.
and I was trying to figure, because Ginny's now in year 4. So it's kind of like, oh, absent-minded 14-year-old girl making a comment about another girl.
She also says to Neville, who is expressing disinterest in sitting with her in the compartment, she says, "Don't be silly. She's all right." So, like, I feel like, yes, she does call her Looney Lovegood, which is definitely a point against her, but I think that she is more open-minded about. I mean, throughout the series, you don't really see it in this chapter, but Ginny is one of Luna's like only real like friends before she gets into the DA.
Yeah, I definitely remember all of that. That's why I guess upon this reread, seeing that Ginny is the first person to kind of like make the nickname known, is I was like, oh wow, like,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't Hermione like it was in the movie, or it wasn't some random person being like, Looney, oh, we got stuck with Looney Lovegood, it was this girl who, and not only that, but in speaking of like reputations and stuff, Jenny has survived being Voldemort's conduit and the whole Chamber of Secrets fiasco quite swimmingly. Like she doesn't seem to encounter the problems or the her reputation's not tarnished.
Did people
And
know
it
she
is,
was possessed, though, or did they just think that she was a victim?
now I have to go back and check. But like, mm,
I also think Jenny's one of those people who takes charge of her own narrative, and wouldn't let that kind of shit slide, especially if people started saying stuff about her like that. I will say Ginny. So Ginny is my all. Her and Harry are basically hadn't like tied for my all-time favorite character. And I love her very, very much. And I will admit that she does not shine. She does not shine at all in this chapter. This is one of the not great Ginny chapters, because we see she calls Luna loony, which is obviously not great. And then she basically, there's lots of notes that Harry makes about Ginny trying not to laugh at Luna when she talks, or suppressing her giggles or laughing silently behind Luna's back, which obviously is very judgmental and not very enlightened of her. So, I mean, I think this is just a good reminder that these kids are immature
yeah,
teenagers.
that she's a teenage girl,
Yeah.
but like. it also just brought to mind though, like she is one of the few people that actually maybe even justifiably could have a tarnished reputation and yet doesn't.
Because she's awesome.
And do we think that a lot of that has to do with one, her personality, but also that her family is, even though they're not wealthy, like an established, family in the wizarding world?
Well, I mean, Ron gets teased for being a Weasley all the time. So I think it could just
Yeah, but she's a girl. I feel like people are like easier on her because she's a girl too.
Yes. No, I think it's just a budding dichotomous friendship of how, and especially because we get to see, this is the first setting where we get to see Luna, Ginny, and Hermione all in one setting, and obviously the other two are not 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 the shining stars we usually expect them to be. Which also brought to me another question. How, I mean, of course, yes, Hermione is well read, but how does
I know, I think where you're going. Go ahead.
how does Hermione even know what the Quibbler is about if she hasn't been reading it?
Or how does she not know that Luna's dad is the editor?
Editor, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question because she's a Muggle born. Her parents, like, she lives in the Muggle world. Some other wizard or magical folk had to have introduced her to the Quibbler in some form. I mean, maybe she just read about it. Like maybe there was an article on the Quibbler in the Daily Prophet or something.
True. I guess it's just a gap in, like, usually Hermione is very much citing her sources
Yeah.
and, like, very much like, well, I read this or I heard this from this, or, I cross-checked this with this. And again, I guess in the whole politic of like snap judgment and misinformation, she immediately is like, nope, the Quibbler is trash. And it's like, well, you either got that from somebody or you've read the source material yourself. And yet this is the first time when we don't see Hermione like cross-referencing herself.
This is also one of the first times that we see Hermione as someone who doesn't know as much as she thinks she does.
I think this is the first time we see Hermione as, the closed-minded, judgmental Hermione that we do sometimes get, unfortunately. It's like one of the few downsides to Hermione's character is this flaw that she has of being closed-minded and judgmental. We don't see it very often throughout the series, but a lot of it is targeted at Luna.
Oh, yeah. And maybe even besides like Malfoy, this is the first time that we really see Hermione be a bully.
Yeah. I mean, I think the intention isn't there. I think that it's not intentional bullying, but yeah, she definitely participates in some bullying behavior.
Well, the intent sometimes, well, not sometimes, 100% of the time, intent is not necessarily what's important. It's the outcome, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think intent is important. I mean, yeah, the outcome is important, but I do think intent is very important as well.
I had a friend, Robin, from Black Girls Create, remind me of that quite recently. She said intention will never outweigh impact. And that definitely, like, that has been, and I, as I'm wont to do, like, I immediately did want to refute that because we were debating some other spicy Hermione takes that also come up in Order of the Phoenix. But
I love how you call them spicy Hermione takes.
well, I also am stealing that from the lovely community that is Black Girls Create. But we're often debating these hot takes about our favorite characters, especially the ones that remind us of ourselves.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
just as like Helene is attached to Ginny, I am entirely attached to Hermione, often to the point of like just narrow-mindedness and like being obtuse in a way.
Mhm.
And because like I I have also disregarded what other people were reading or what the opinions of other people, because I just believed my opinion facts to be so strong that to the point that they were irrefutable. And I think Hermione's statement on the Quibbler, she said it with such confidence that it was meant to be irrefutable. And when Luna is like, well, my dad's the editor, and it was kind of like, well, what do you know? You know? And, and the fact that we see Luna's attitude and demeanor absolutely change, which uh, honestly is not depicted in the movies at all. To in my
I don't think that the scene is in the movie.
no, but in my very humble opinion, like we never see Luna actually like check anybody for
Mhm.
what is said or done
Yeah.
to her. Um, Whereas it happens several times throughout
Yeah.
the book.
And
Uh,
before we get too far away from the intent topic, I just wanted to bring up the fact that like when I think about intent, and I know that obviously like impact and outcome are more important than the intent, but in the argument that intent is important, I like to
Mhm.
think about Snape and Dumbledore, because
Mhm.
if you think about it, Snape and Dumbledore had the same objective. They were both fighting on the side of good. They both wanted to defeat Voldemort, but their intents were completely different. And this is why this makes Snape a hated character and Dumbledore a beloved character, although Dumbledore is still hated by lots of people. But like they're both doing the same thing. They're both fighting on the same side, but Snape's intent is selfish and obviously fueled by an unrequited love for Harry's mom and revenge against Voldemort for killing her. And Dumbledore's intent is to save the entire wizarding world. It's very selfless.
is
Um,
it so?
well, what does he
In the
gain?
fact,
What does he gain from defeating Voldemort? He doesn't want
uh,
power. He doesn't. I mean, he sacrifices himself to. Well, he doesn't get anything.
does he though? Does he
He
really?
doesn't. Okay. Well, he doesn't want more power. He doesn't want to be the minister of magic. He's turned that down multiple times.
I think we've already discussed the fact that having a title does not make you the most powerful person in the room.
If
And
he really wanted that, he wouldn't have, sacrificed himself he would have wanted to live out long enough to get that reward. He dies before Voldemort is even dies of his own hand, really, before
yeah,
Voldemort is even defeated.
the fact that Dumbledore is literally one of the only characters in outside of maybe Nicholas Flamel in the entire series who does get to decide when and how he's going to die, I would say that Dumbledore has quite enough power and he knows exactly how to use it. And the fact that we're even having this debate about Dumbledore being uh this um martyr of a character instead of this kind of reticent chess master that he really was.
I'm not saying I don't think it's one or the other. I think he definitely was a chess master. I think that he was manipulative, but that doesn't mean that his intent to kill Voldemort and save the Wizarding World wasn't selfless. I full heartedly believe that it was selfless.
Uh,
That decision is not every decision he made was selfless.
I
I
would like
think
to
so.
counterpoint. Could I counterpoint?
Sure.
I think obviously characters are very complex. And even though Dumbledore could make himself believe and us believe that his intent was selfless, perhaps may I float this theory that he is doing this as redemption for his past sins, and doing something for redemptive purposes is not necessarily noble and selfless. You're doing it to assuage your guilty conscience.
Yes, but it would be his redemption for his own benefit, because as we learn, not many people knew his part in his sister's death. Not many people knew that he played any part in his sister's death, and it was actually him mainly just hating himself for it. It's not like he was going to gain redemption in the eyes of everyone in the wizarding world, because no one knew that he wanted that redemption. No one knew that there was redemption to be had.
Well,
But then that's
I mean,
that's even
everybody.
worse though, right? Like if people don't know your sin and don't know that you're doing things because of redemptive reasons for yourself, they're going to hail you as a hero
Isn't that just
because
like
they don't know
isn't
the
that just like
bad.
self-improvement though? Isn't that him just trying to fight for self-improvement, prove to himself that he's a good person? I don't think that's a bad thing.
Ooh, okay. I, I think we could have all self-improved by shoving Tom Riddle Jr. into a burning closet,
Well,
which
yeah.
he could have done years ago.
He was a
But
kid. He wasn't going to murder a kid.
well, he almost murdered a kid, leaving him out in the freezing cold in November. But hey, what do I know?
I'm sure he rang the doorbell.
I was not expecting this. This is beautiful.
Dumbledore trying to save the children of our future, all aside, everybody in this chapter acts like a-hole at some point. And
True.
I think it just kind of goes to show, like, Harry is, and I think this kind of successfully transitions into our Dementors in Chocolate. Harry, for me, is reminded at this point that he is in fact a teenager and he is in fact at school, or on his way to school. And while he's thankfully still, counting his lucky stars that he's even on the train and not on the expressway to Azkaban, it's he he's 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 got his grasp around the fact that, like, Hogwarts is his home, and it is the place where he gets to be a kid, but yet we're still seeing these subtle signs that his childhood is changing, and not just, literal puberty, but like you're the fact that Hagrid is missing, the fact
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
It's like loss of innocence, really.
yeah, the fact that Ron and Hermione are prefects now, the fact that
The fact that he's
that
seeing thestrals,
I was just about to say, like, loss of innocence at its finest when you can see a creature that you can
thestral.
only, yeah.
yeah, but he's also having to make this social shift too. It's like, okay, who do I align myself with now that Hermione and Ron have this different objective? And how do, how do I, and how do I make that mental shift too, knowing that everybody who used to be my friend is kind of sort of on the fence about being friends with me now? It's kind of like he literally is walking into the proverbial room and knows that people are gossiping about him, but he doesn't really quite know what they're saying.
I mean, as
Which,
someone who's been there, it's the worst.
oh yeah, I mean, as someone who's both been talked about and talked about other people, which, you know, I, yeah, it doesn't feel, it feels somewhat good doing it. And
Because you're focusing on someone other than yourself.
yeah, and also too, we become assertive in again, like with the Hermione deal, we become assertive in thinking that our opinions are facts. And you know, Hermione is also not one who isn't afraid to repeat what she said. So
Alternative facts.
yeah, it's kind of like, but anyway, long story short, gossiping is bad.
Yes.
Even though it's a little bit fun in the moment,
Yeah,
or like plenty fun.
but it
in some
is
cases.
a concept that it's a concept that we discover as teenagers. You know, like you didn't really gossip a lot when you were at least I didn't. We didn't
Yeah.
gossip a lot in elementary school.
You know, and you don't really get to, like, I feel like you have to be the subject of gossip in order to fully understand why it's bad too. So like you can't, you can gossip all you want, and then the second that it actually affects you, that's when you start to realize that maybe it's not a good thing.
Yeah. But this is also like the of course the teenagers are also when you start to think about like how what you say about other people affects their social clout. Like
Mhm.
you really like when Harry is starting to think about, I mean, of course, this all of a sudden it interest in developing interest in Cho Chang, but he's now starting to think about, okay, what does she think about me in relation to how I'm with other people? And it's like, boy, one,
You've got bigger problems, dude.
and two, you know hardly anything about the people that you're with. Like, out of all of your roommates, you probably talk to Neville the least. And you just met Luna like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but it's not even how much he knows about him, it's how he knows other people view them. Like, oh,
Yeah, the
people think
For
perception.
sure.
yeah, people think Neville's a nerd, or a screw up, and people think Luna is crazy and, you know, spacey. And I mean, the only person that, in his opinion, that it's like okay to be seen with in that compartment is Ginny.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not a reason to marry her, I don't know what is.
Well, Ginny has a better reputation than like even Harry and Ron. She's like beloved by her classmates. So Dementors and chocolate. Should I lead off?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So my Dementor was we've talked about it a lot so far this episode already, but the judgment that we see from everyone in this chapter, including our protagonists, and all of the judgment is mainly based off of misinformation and rumors. It's just sad to see the characters we love attack each other or think badly about each other and partake in these social norms that are harmful.
Yeah. I kind of that stroll back to off of that as well. The clickiness of Hogwarts truly begins to show itself as we realize that no one is in the mood to make new friends or even be polite. And we really start to see that perception isn't everything, but it's pretty damn close.
Well, my Dementor is controversially not non-controversial for both of you, but controversial, I guess, for me, noted Ron apologist, is Ron's willingness to just be like, and I'm going to take advantage of being a prefect because I'm not going to let Malfoy get to my friends first. I need to get to his friends first.
I'm gonna let you have that because
I'm sorry, I'm seeing a trend in these last 2 episodes. Dumbledore's pettiness, Harry's pettiness, and now Ron's pettiness are pettiness is like a thing. Like, no, Ron is super, super petty right there.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think that's pettiness, though. I think that is a willingness to abuse a power that's given to him, even though he doesn't deserve it. In without the other side even having made a move. So so it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
This might be controversial for me. Notorious Ron unapologist. But to kind of see Ron play chess in that moment, like the mental chess, not checkers, he knows his opponent well enough to understand what they're going to do. And he makes a clever joke out of it nonetheless.
Well,
So,
he is a good chess player. That is his only redeeming quality that we know so far.
I mean, like, he under he under he he understands that Malfoy having the prefix badge is almost as equally undeserving of it as he is. And I kind of feel like if he is going to abuse the badge, he may as well abuse it with Malfoy.
I could get behind that, I guess.
I also, on that note of people saying things, also worried about Hermione not only because of the Quibbler situation, but also the way that she spoke about fellow female student Pansy Parkinson.
Yeah, what did she call her? Oh, she called her a really, she said something
A
really bad. What did she say?
cow,
She said a
an
cow, right?
absolute cow, which I kind of interpreted to be fat, but I'm not.
Yeah, it seems out of character for Hermione to comment on someone's physical appearance.
And she also
Yeah,
said thick, right? Or am
well,
I?
yeah,
I can find the
I,
quote.
I mean, I am, from my interpretation, think it's stupid.
I
Like,
understand that. Yeah, I thought so as well. But even then, we don't have enough, like,
she doesn't
I,
know Pansy well enough to say these things.
exactly. That's exactly what bothered me, Alex. Okay, Alex.
Oh yeah, that complete cow Pansy Parkinson, how she got to be prefect when she's thicker than a concussed troll. Yeah, in this context, she means stupid. So like that, I would have
Yeah,
expected.
so like thicker than a concussed troll.
Yeah, no.
I
So like
mean,
that, I would have expected her to comment on. Like, if Hermione's going to insult someone, I am not surprised she would insult their intelligence. That
yeah,
doesn't surprise me. But to
no,
insult their physical appearance does not seem very Hermione like at all.
yeah. As somebody who, was who thought themselves to be the resident genius, I definitely wasn't hesitant to call someone stupid. But and it's and now I'm laughing because it seems kind of clever considering the fact that Hermione has indeed fact seen a concussed troll.
This is true. She has experience in that area.
She is quite experienced in concussed trolls. Yes.
Okay. Let me stop laughing because before people think I'm condoning bullying. Bullying's not cool, friends.
Should we move on to chocolate?
I don't know. Y'all were bullying me earlier on the episode.
We've all been bullied during this episode. It's fine.
And now I'm laughing about Ron mimicking Goyle talking about. I'm literally Luna Lovegood right now laughing at Baboon's backside.
Oh yeah, she like loses it in this episode or in this chapter. Not
Oh,
episode. Okay.
okay.
Well, let's move on to happier things. So my chocolate in this episode was getting to see the core members of the DA meet and bond for the first time.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, if you haven't read Half-Blood Prince, if you haven't read Order of the Phoenix yet, I don't really you should probably go do that. But yeah, we get to see the Fab Five, I guess. I don't know how many. Yeah, Fab Five, yeah. Fab Four? 5. No, there's 5 of them. I'm an idiot. We get to see the Fab 5 meet and bond for the first time, and I like that this chapter was just, it felt like a really good world building chapter. It felt like all these foundations were being set, all these friendships were being introduced and started, and I just thought it was a nice, chapter that you can refer back to later in the book and be like, "Aw, that's when all these people first met."
And what a show it was. What a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm so busy laughing at bullying. My chocolate. I kind of talked about it earlier, but I really just love these brief glimpses of Harry still possessing a childlike wonder and gratefulness for Hogwarts, especially in his fondness for Hagrid. I kind of really do enjoy like having these Harry moments where he gets to be a kid. It's kind of like Hogwarts is Chuck E. Cheese. And he gets to forget that he has the world on his shoulders for a bit, and it just I f- I love that for him that he gets to have these moments of escape. And I it kind of makes me feel a little bit sad that they don't quite work out. Um and I know that that is for like foreshadowing purposes, but the fact that he's still trying to cling to those moments makes me feel good.
Well, my chocolate is Luna Lovegood. I mean, what a delightful and iconic character that we will get to know throughout the rest of the series, and brings quirky determination and intellect and a different point of view to experience the series. And she is the first one to tell Harry, don't worry, I see these guys too. You're just as sane as I am, which is a delightful phrase.
And not as comforting to Harry as he would hope to have been.
I know, but it's just delightful.
It is.
Oh yeah, sorry. Last week we posed the question, did Ron earn or deserve his prefect badge?
And let me tell you, everyone who responded to this question agreed with what we said on last episode and said that he did not, in fact, deserve that badge and power. Below were some selected responses that we wanted to highlight. Nope, but neither did Harry. Neville would have been the best option. And that comes to us from Twitter at Pancha Javiera. At Pancha Javiera? Yeah. I'm just going to say that's how we say that handle. And then, no, he didn't do much and was prepared to abuse his position like Malfoy. And that comes to us via Twitter from at MinhajNizam88. I don't know how to say these things, guys. I am so sorry.
Maybe Minhaj Nizam 88. Maybe.
There you go, guys. What Helene said.
We're sorry if we said these wrong, but thanks for.
I don't know. I'm sorry that I said these wrong, and that is all on me and not Helene.
Thank you for your responses. We'd really love to hear from you guys with these questions. So make sure to follow us on Twitter at AccioPolitics and answer the question. We'll put it up probably a couple of days after the episode airs, just to give you guys all some time to hear the episode and gather your thoughts before you share them with us. But this week's question that we would love for you to answer for us, so we can read on next week's episode, is...
And you can hear me butcher your handles. Go ahead.
That wasn't the question, but...
I'm just typing it. Sorry.
This week's question is, do we as a society judge others too quickly, and why or why not? Why or why don't you think we do?
That sounds like a great thing to debate.
It sure does. What are some of the media things that we've been consuming lately, ladies?
Lately I've been keeping it kind of light, leaning into Halloween and spooky season still, and watching season 4 of The Worst Witch on Netflix. Um, a reboot, or I would say continued revival of the very cute HBO show, which was based on the children's novel. It's a cute and awkward show about the. It's not an awkward show. It's a cute show about the awkward yet stalwart Mildred Hubble, and she once again proves that magic is more than what makes a great witch at Cackle's Academy. It's a really lighthearted yet engaging watch, especially if you love magic, you like kids, and you're just looking for something to just kind of laugh and enjoy childhood nostalgia.
I was obsessed with that original
Oh,
series.
yeah, for sure. HBO has some really quality children's content. And I mean, HBO Max does too, but like Crash Box, Harold and the Purple Crayon, The Little Lulu Show, Tintin. HBO had it going on.
That's
But
a
yeah, y'all
quality
should watch The Worst Witch.
recommendation. Do you have a shameless plug this week?
Uh, Wizards in Space has extended their submission deadline. We are still taking poetry and prose and fiction and non about the subject of foraging, and the submission deadline has been extended from, it was tomorrow, but now it is this weekend, October 18th.
I've been taking like self-paced online courses to not only explore my creativity but also develop new skills at this conglomerate of video courses called Domestika. It is DOMEST. Wait, TIKA.
Yeah.
Sorry. So sorry, I'm not myself. I'm not my best self today. We've talked about this. Mercury.
I was gonna finish spelling it for you in case you couldn't see it on the screen.
I'm like, clearly not a spelling bee champ. So this selection of video courses features a lot of Latin American and Spanish from Spain, españoles, content creators and instructors. So a lot of the artwork that you end up doing or the techniques that you end up learning are much different than the ones that you would learn at, like, say, Skillshare or something that has more American based sensibilities. So I'm really excited to be learning and expanding, like, my palette and how I think about art and how I think about creating things. And for those of you who do not speak Spanish, it does come with subtitles. Most of these classes do come with English subtitles, but a lot of them are either in Spanish, Portuguese, and some of them are in English because the teacher is British or something.
Cool.
And then my shameless plug is, as always, if you're looking for gifts, go to neoncastaway.com, which is yours truly's Etsy store, and it's very colorful and bright.
Definitely. I finished Schitt's Creek earlier this week, so there's a big hole in my heart and in my TV watching schedule. Yeah. But I mean, I recommended Schitt's Creek last week. Now that I fully, like, officially finished it, I back that up. It was, a great ending, great show. But my media this week is I've started reading the Percy Jackson series from Rick Riordan as part of a book club with my friends. I had never read them before. I'd seen the 2 movies that they had released, but I'd never read the books before. And so I finished Lightning Thief about a week or so ago, and I've started the second one, which is The Sea of Monsters. And I'm almost halfway through that one. And it is good so far. I do love Rick Riordan's writing style a lot. I'm starting to like really appreciate that. And I know that with the Percy Jackson series, or at least at the beginning of the Percy Jackson series, he felt that he had to like be kind of vanilla and get it into mainstream so that people liked it before introducing all of his like progressive characters and storylines. And then once it was kind of popular and accepted in mainstream, then he started to introduce more really diverse and progressive things in his books, which I haven't gotten to yet. I mean, yeah, some of the characters are diverse, but I'm excited to get deeper. And after I read the Percy Jackson series, I'm gonna do Heroes of Olympus, Trials of Apollo, and there's the one on the Egyptian gods and the Norse gods too. I can't remember the names of those right now. It's like Magnus Cain and something else. And hopefully I'm excited. I know that I don't know which series or which character it is, but I know that he does have a transgender character in one of his stories. And I'm excited to read about that and just learn a lot more about all these mythologies. Right now it's Greek mythology, but eventually it'll go into Roman and Norse and Egyptian mythologies as I get into his books. And I don't know as much about those. I did almost minor in classics in college, so I know a lot about Greek mythology, but I'm excited to learn about those other mythologies. And yeah, I'm liking it so far. If you are like me and are disappointed by J.K. Rowling's views of late and are kind of looking for another book series that the author kind of seems to be a better human being, I recommend this. I really do like Rick Riordan's style of writing and things so far, so I think it's going to be good. Sorry,
That's a great recommendation.
Yeah, it was really long, and I'm sorry that I rambled on for so long, but I really hope people take it to heart and read that series if you haven't yet.
Shameless plug, Timeline.
I don't have one. I mean, obviously, listen to Speak Beast if you haven't yet. It's a great Fantastic Beast podcast. We're finishing up our recap of our like deep dive into Crimes Grindelwald, and then I'm unsure what we're going to be doing after that. But
stay tuned.
Yeah, we will see and hear us talk about how much we love Newt Scamander because he's pretty cool.
All right, and that's it for today's episode. Join us next week as we talk about Chapter 11, The Sorting Hat's new song of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Okay. Whew. You can find us online everywhere at Acchiopolitics and at acchiopolitics.com. You can support our podcast by becoming a patron and getting physical goodies every 3 months for $5 a month at patreon.com/acchiopolitics.
And as always, leave us a voicemail at 915-996-1699 with all your burning thoughts and questions. And if you're feeling shy, you can email us at info@acchiopolitics.com.
Okay. Until then, politics manage. Keep safe and keep faith. Good night.
Sorry, I had to burp. Okay. It was a very silent burp, though, thankfully.
And now it's my turn, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so
why don't you pull the script up? You should pull the script up.
I have 3 dogs in front of the computer at this moment.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think you understand the level of visibility I have.
Oh my goodness.
Potter Watch.
What did you say? What was that word? Potter Witch.
It's been a long day.
That was loud.
She got so hype about the new messed up the segment name.
Potter Witch.
You know what? We will start again.
Potter Watch, we'll call
And
it.
this time with decorum, which I don't have, but I will pretend like I do.
Indecency and in order, law and order.
You know what? This is hazing, and I will not stand for it, which is why I'm sitting down.
That is a good course of action.
Harassment.
Can you
hazing.
say the word?
Potter Watch?
There we go. That was better.
My spirit has been broken. Okay, Helene?
She's like Potter Watch.
Oh, poor Adrienne.
Like all the air has been let out of her. Anyway,
Okay, can I start over?
Yeah, go ahead. Have fun editing that one, Adri.